Reach channel connected. 1 ring, 2, 3. The screen brightened. Kenny Reach appeared first. Celine stood beside him. Both wore relaxed expressions, clearly expecting an ordinary family call. The smiles disappeared almost instantly. Aurora stood silently before the communication display. Behind her, Mira's eyes were red from crying. Plum's normally energetic posture had vanished. Ellie stood with folded arms, her expression colder than either ruler had seen in months. Kenny's gaze narrowed. He didn't ask what was wrong. He simply asked one question. "Who's on the other screen?" Aurora stepped sideways. House Valcrest came into view. Silence settled across both worlds. Kenny recognized them immediately. "So," his voice remained calm. "It seems we're speaking with House Valcrest again." Mira's biological father straightened his posture. "Ruler Reach." Kenny inclined his head politely. "Lord Valcrest?" The greeting sounded courteous. It carried absolutely no warmth. Celine quietly studied the room. Her eyes lingered on Mira for only a heartbeat before returning to the communication display. She already understood enough. Something had happened. Something involving the people who had once abandoned their daughter. Kenny folded his hands together. "I assume this conversation isn't social." Lord Valcrest drew a slow breath. "Our house requires assistance." Aurora couldn't help herself. She snorted. The sound echoed through the room. Lord Valcrest ignored it. "Our military situation has deteriorated. Our neighboring house has begun mobilizing. If we cannot present sufficient resistance within 72 hours. His jaw tightened. "Our capital will fall." Silence. Kenny remained expressionless. "How many civilians?" The question caught everyone off guard. Even Aurora blinked. Lord Valcrest hesitated. "Approximately 12 million. Nobody spoke. The number settled heavily across the room. Celine quietly lowered her eyes. Plum's arms slowly unfolded. Even Aurora felt her anger pause. Not disappear. Just pause. 12 million people. Most of them ordinary families, children, teachers, farmers, people who had never chosen the rulers governing them. Kenny finally nodded. "I see." Lady Valcrest stepped forward. "You command one of the strongest military alliances in known space. You will assist us." Aurora laughed again. "So demanding." Lady Valcrest ignored her completely. "Our daughter has influence." Aurora's eyes hardened. "No." The room fell silent. Kenny remained still. Aurora continued. "She isn't your daughter." Lady Valcrest looked ready to argue. Kenny calmly raised one finger. The room obeyed immediately. Even Aurora, the ruler of Reach, looked directly into the camera. House Reach does not abandon innocent civilians. Hope appeared across Lord Valcrest's face. Too quickly, Kenny wasn't finished. "Nor does House Reach reward abusive rulers." The hope vanished. Celine quietly smiled. She already knew where this conversation was heading. Lord Valcrest frowned. "What exactly are you suggesting?" Kenny leaned forward slightly. "I'm suggesting terms." Aurora slowly smiled. This was the Kenny she knew. The man who could dismantle kingdoms without drawing a weapon. "The first condition." Kenny's voice remained perfectly calm. "House Valcrest relinquishes sovereign authority immediately." Silence. Lady Valcrest looked horrified. "Absolutely not." "Then Reach offers no military support." Simple, direct, non-negotiable. Lord Valcrest swallowed. "The second condition," Kenny continued. "Reach assumes temporary humanitarian administration. Our priority will be civilian protection, evacuation corridors, food distribution, medical support, not preserving noble titles." Lady Valcrest slammed a hand against her desk. "You cannot simply take control of our world." Kenny tilted his head slightly. "I can choose not to defend it." Silence. Nobody breathed. Lord Valacrest slowly realized they had no leverage. None. Kenny held every card. The third condition. His eyes shifted briefly toward Mira, then back again. Mira. Everyone looked at her. The young woman froze. Kenny smiled gently. You will be officially recognized before every noble house as the legitimate firstborn heir of House Valacrest. Lady Valacrest's face drained of color. No. Kenny continued as though she hadn't spoken. The declaration will be public. It will acknowledge your abandonment. It will acknowledge her birthright. It will acknowledge your failures. The silence became unbearable. Then Kenny smiled. And immediately afterward, he looked toward Mira again. She will publicly renounce every claim. Aurora blinked. Realization spread through the room. Kenny wasn't giving Mira a kingdom. He was setting her free. Forever. No future house, no ambitious noble, no political opportunist could ever claim she belonged to Valacrest again. History itself would record the truth. She had been born there, then abandoned, then chosen by Reach. The story would finally end. Lord Valacrest slowly lowered his head. You've thought this through. I have. Lady Valacrest stared at Mira. You would actually do this? Mira remained silent. Aurora squeezed her hand. The younger woman took one slow breath, then stepped forward. Her voice trembled, but only at first. If it saves innocent people, she swallowed. I'll do it. The words echoed through the room. Lady Valacrest looked almost relieved. Then Mira continued. But understand something. The older woman froze. I'm not coming home. Silence. I already found home. Her eyes shifted toward Kenny, then Celine, then Aurora, then Ellie, then Plum. My family is standing right here. Nobody spoke, not even Aurora. Mira's voice steadied. You don't get another chance. I forgive you. A tear rolled down her cheek. But forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. The sentence landed harder than shouting ever could. Lord Valacrest slowly closed his eyes. For the first time, he looked old, not defeated, not broken, simply tired. Lady Valacrest looked away, unable to meet anyone's gaze. Celine quietly stepped forward. She didn't speak to House Valacrest. She ignored them completely. Instead, she walked until she stood beside Mira. Then gently wrapped both arms around her. The younger woman immediately began crying again. Celine smiled softly. You're home. 2 simple words. Nothing more. Mira buried her face against Celine's shoulder. Years of uncertainty disappeared inside that embrace. Aurora quietly looked away, giving them privacy. Even through a communication screen, family somehow still felt close. Kenny waited patiently. Eventually Mira composed herself enough to nod. The ruler of Reach looked back toward House Valcrest. My fleet departs within 6 hours. Lord Valacrest blinked. So quickly. Civilians don't benefit from delay. Lady Valacrest finally spoke. Thank you. Nobody answered immediately. Kenny eventually nodded once. Don't thank me. His voice remained calm. Earn it. The transmission ended. The screen faded to black. Silence remained. Nobody moved. Plum eventually let out one long breath. Well? She looked around the room. That was terrifying. Aurora laughed quietly. It usually is when Dad starts negotiating. Ellie nodded. I almost felt sorry for them. Aurora looked at her. Almost? Very almost. That earned a small laugh. The heaviness inside the room finally eased. Mira wiped the remaining tears from her face. Aurora walked over, resting a hand on her shoulder. You okay? Mira thought about it, longer than expected, then slowly smiled. I think. She looked toward the now dark communication screen. For the first time, another breath. I actually know who I am. Aurora smiled. So who are you? Mira laughed softly. I'm Mira Reach. No hesitation. No uncertainty. Just certainty. The answer somehow filled the room with warmth. Outside, Everlight continued shining beneath its twin skies. Inside, Sparkle Doom prepared for something entirely different from the battles they'd once fought. Not an arena, not an eclipse, not survival. This time, they were flying to stop a war before it truly began. Aurora looked out through the window toward the bustling streets below. Families walked freely. Children laughed. Builders continued raising the city. Life moved forward. She smiled. Looks like we've got work to do. Plum cracked her knuckles dramatically. Please tell me I get to yell at some nobles. Ellie sighed. You absolutely will. I knew there was a reason I packed snacks. Aurora laughed, then headed for the door. The others fell into step beside her. Not contestants anymore. Not survivors. Leaders.